Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Well, according to Jordan Peterson, this is one of the rules that you should follow if you want to have a great life. Does body posture really change how you're supposed to live your life? Let's find out. So let's begin. The way I understood this chapter, it's essentially about three things. First, something about an ancient calculator. Second, feedback loops. And third, something that I like to call Sparta. So let's start with that ancient calculator. This chapter takes us through some weird stuff like territorial disputes of birds, pecking order of chickens, and then lobsters. And this guy loves his lobsters. Their nesting methods, dispute resolution methods, mating rituals, neurochemistry of their brains, etc., etc., etc. So his argument is basically this. The neurochemistry of lobsters and humans are similar. Lobsters behave like bullies. Essentially, the alpha lobster typically tends to dominate the lower lobsters, and then the other lobsters surrender to him. And because human and lobster neurochemistries are so similar, humans in a very primitive, primordial way behave in the same way. There is an unspeakably ancient calculator deep within our brains that tracks our status in society, and this is something that he calls the dominance hierarchy. So this ancient calculator and the second point, which was around feedback loops, are kind of connected. This is something to do with serotonin. It's a chemical. It stabilizes your mood. So the lobster bullying others logic kind of translates to your inner calculator bullying yourself. Let's just say that you said that you will wake up at 5 a.m. and you did. In that time, your internal calculator kind of resets and goes one level up. So in your head, your esteem of yourself kind of goes up. However, if you don't do it, your internal calculator resets one level down. And according to Jordan Peterson, this is something that resets not just your confidence level, but other people's confidence level in you too. So the more wins you pocket, higher your status goes, and more your status amplifies, and there is a kind of avalanche effect into it. However, if you keep going down, you'll just hit rock bottom really fast. So there's a chapter called Top and Bottom in which Jordan Peterson kind of says that this is why the rich are super rich and the poor will just keep being poor. This is how it will be. So yeah, take that, Bernie Sanders. But this is kind of cool. It basically tells us that we're either on the path to being super cool or just being a total loser. There's no midway between the two. This kind of reminds me of an interview of Michael Phelps that I'd seen, wherein he said that in preparation for the Olympics, he didn't rest for a single day, or he didn't have an off day for almost 5 years, because in his mind, if he took a rest day, it took him 2 days to get back to the same level that he was. And this kind of has parallels with the calculator logic. At the time of the Olympics, Michael Phelps' status calculator was probably at the highest. His confidence level was the highest for him internally, and it showed to people who were competing with him as well. And well, it worked. The guy won even from losing position. Don't do something that you know is morally wrong, not because someone else is watching, but because you are. Self-esteem is a reputation that you have with yourself. You will always know. Or in Jordan Peterson's word, that ancient calculator deep inside your brain will always know and keep resetting that calculator. Next, moving on to the third point, which is something that I call Sparta. Jordan Peterson talks about something called the burden of being. Basically, for him, life is a lot of suffering, and hence it's better that you take on the challenges head on. Otherwise, you're gonna get stand up straight with your shoulders back. He means this not just literally as in terms of body posture, but also in terms of a metaphor. Speak your mind and put your desires forward. Don't always be nice guys, what Jordan Peterson says, because they will always finish last, as they should, according to the book. There is nothing noble about being a nice guy. Carry around that metaphorical bazooka in your pocket, because you'll realize that if you have one, more often than not, you don't need to use it. By the way, for Harry Potter fans, this Sparta attitude kind of reminds me of a chapter in the Order of the Phoenix, wherein Harry Potter just gets to know that he's the one who has to kill Voldemort, or vice versa, and he gets really scared. And this really irritates Dumbledore, because he tells Harry that you have a choice. You don't really have to kill Dumbledore. You can walk away. The only reason you're gonna kill Dumbledore, or you want to kill Dumbledore, is because that is what you want to do. You want to save your friends, or because you want to avenge your parents. So it kind of shifted Harry's attitude from this is something I have to do to something I want to do. And that's what kind of really emphasizes this point. Doing something in the sense that you want to do it makes all the difference in the world. To me, it was one of the best parts of Harry Potter, before right in the end Snape came in and stole the show. And this brings us to the next section. What can we actually take out of this first chapter and do in our daily lives? So the first point with me has something to do with this ancient calculator, and something that was mentioned in the book specifically by Dr. Jordan Peterson. He talked about sleep and the importance of getting up at the same time. According to him, as in his career as a a psychologist. One of the main things that he tells his patients is the importance of waking up at the same time and getting enough sleep. This kind of ensures that your status calculator is working in the best possible way, in the sense that it doesn't happen that you keep doing all the right things but your status calculator doesn't go up just because you're not getting enough sleep. That'd be the worst. So I'm gonna set an alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe 6. Second point is about facing things head on. I don't know. I thought about this, and maybe one of the things that sprung to my head was journaling and recording what kind of things you've done in the day and whether you kind of face things head on or took it slow. The second thing I can think of, well, this is something Stephen Curry does for basketball fans out there. He uses catchphrases like "you can do all things" he writes it on his shoes, and it kind of reminds him that he's facing things and challenges head on. I guess we can do something like that too, something personal, deeply meaningful to us that we can remember every time we feel that we're going into a situation wherein we're not really into it. Yeah, so I guess that's it. That's what I'll do. At least that's my takeaway from this particular chapter. Although I wish I didn't have to read the mating rituals of lobsters to understand this. Speaking of lobsters, here are some fun facts from the book. Did you know that lobsters' eyes have nozzles that can spray chemicals that can tell them about the size, sex, health, mood of their opponent? Also, and I haven't verified this, but according to the book, if a lobster is beaten in a fight, its brain dissolves. I won't even get into the dispute resolution mechanism of lobsters. Also, one last thing. Have you heard of wren birds? You know, the ones that make this sound in the morning? That is actually them giving death threats to other birds. That is what it is. I didn't know that. Alright, that's it for this chapter, guys. In the next video, I'm going to take you through the second chapter, which is treat yourself like someone you're responsible to help. Ciao.